Welcome, welcome. This is the Enlightenment Show, and I'm your host, Laurie Schoenfeld. Thank you for joining us today. We're so excited to have you here with us. Our guests are the lovely Caitlin and Preston Booth. They are the CEO and co-founders of Wingmn. And we're going to be talking today all about their business as well as the value in connection and communication. Welcome, Caitlin and Preston.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here.
Yeah, we're really excited.
I'm looking forward to having you here. We met on Good Things Utah in the green room. And when I asked them about their business, I was so stoked of what they're doing, as I really feel that there's a need specifically right now to connect, and your business has a beautiful way of doing that. Yeah. Caitlin, can you tell us what Wingmn is all about?
Yeah, for sure. So Preston and I started Wingmn in 2020 during the pandemic. And, a lot of people at that time were getting into side hustles, and Wingmn was ours. So we were just caught up with this idea of connection at a time when people were not connecting with each other, when it was really hard to be social. It was really hard to talk to people, and talking face to face wasn't something that happened often. So inevitably, we ended up doing a lot of Zoom calls. We ended up doing a lot of virtual things, kind of like we're doing on this podcast right now. And conversations were happening a little bit less organically than normal. It was a little awkward for everyone, and we wanted to make a product that would help with that. Now, Preston and I had used conversation cards before. This isn't a new idea that we came up with. There are plenty of other companies out there that have similar products to us. And we, when we were dating, we even used conversation cards. And so when these things during COVID started happening, and we were talking a lot over the phone, we were still dating at that time. We were talking to a lot of family members over the phone. We used our conversation cards that we had from other companies and just kept thinking, these are missing the point. Like, they're giving us things to talk about. If you could be a superhero, for example, what superhero would you be, or what superpower would you have? And the two of us were like, okay, sure, that's a question that gets us talking, but we're not really connecting with each other. We're not getting to know each other. And that's what we really needed during COVID. And that's what people still need today. I mean, how often do you go to a social gathering or a family gathering and everyone's just on their phones? They're sitting in a corner of the room, browsing on social media, not really talking to each other. And if they are talking to each other, it's something really surface level. Oh, how was your week? How's work going? How are the kids? And, life is about a whole lot more than that. It's not just the surface level stuff. We've lost the ability, I think, in our current society to really connect with people on a deeper level. And so Wingmn, our conversation cards, they try to solve that problem, get people talking, but not just about the day-to-day. We want people talking about their feelings. We want people talking about how life is going. We want people talking about the wrestles that they're having right now, the challenges they're going through, and the fun stuff too. What are you really enjoying in your life right now? It's something that's bringing you a lot of joy and something that's helping you to feel fulfilled right now. We want to have these more meaningful conversations. And so that's what our cards aim to do.
I really love, Caitlin, how you brought in, really having those deep conversations of not only the joys and the celebrations, but like the struggles. And we're like really connecting in, oh, really, you've gone through that too? Me too. Like, let's sit and listen and spend time being present together, which is very much needed right now. Preston, why did you decide to name your business Wingmn?
It's a good question. The naming and the branding side was it was an adventure, and we went through several different iterations. It used to be called the Second Date Club, which was because we were more focused on helping people with dating, because that's what we were going through and that's what we could relate with the most. And then we did that for a little bit and we realized, this is so much bigger than just dating. Everyone needs connection. Everyone needs communication. We didn't really feel like the Second Date Club really reflected that. And we kind of wanted to be like everyone's personal wingman, like in their pocket. Like it's really hard to have an awkward conversation or an awkward situation with our product with you, because it allows you to open up and talk about fun things that like you may freeze up and not think of on the spot, but there's 120 questions for any type of situation that you're in that'll help you get that conversation going without it, feeling strained or, being a one-sided conversation or something like that. And so that was kind of the idea of just, being your wingman wherever you're at. And they're small enough, you can take them with you, you can put them in your bag, leave them in your car, and it's just kind of always there to help you spark that conversation. So, yeah.
I really liked when we were talking in the green room how you have different categories. So there's one for relationships, romantic relationships, but you have one for kids and a few other categories, which I thought was so brilliant. Can you share those with us?
Yeah. So we have the first one right here. That's the for everyone. So this one's just for like coworkers, friends and family, game nights, anything and everything like that, just to like get the crowd talking, sharing funny stories, getting to know each other. And it goes from like base level, just generic get to know you questions to some more like maybe philosophical. How do you think about things? How do you see the world? And you can really get those different perspectives. So that's one of them. And then going back to one of our original products, the ones that are, of course, for dating. It's like the 120 questions you should ask before you get married. And this one we actually worked with some professors at UVU to kind of determine what those questions might be and how we can actually help people find the right person. So it's a little bit more than just, hey, these are fun questions to ask, but they're like legitimate things that make a difference in relationships. So that's always fun. Also have the 4 kids, like you mentioned. These ones are really fun for getting your kids to open up and sharing fun stories and
not fight in the car. That's a big one. My mom likes them. She's like, when I'm driving the kids around, instead of fighting, now they're actually fighting.
Yep.
Sold.
Yep. And then this is our last one that we have out right now. This one's the one that's for couples. So this is for married couples that not necessarily struggling in any way, but just, you get in the same habit of talking about the same things all the time. Oh, how was work? How are the kids? Blah, blah, blah. And then, you never really, sometimes you might lose that connection a little bit. And this is just a way for couples to, kindle that and have fun together and get to talk about things that maybe they haven't talked about. If they've been married for 20, 30 years, there's some really wacky conversation starters in there, and they're probably going to be like, what in the world did we buy? But that's the goal. That's the goal behind it, is to get them out of their comfort zone and have fun together. So.
I love all of them, but the couples, how you mentioned, it builds that conversation rather than the mundane, normal questions you ask every day. But you also shift as a couple and you grow and you become different people. So the same question may surprise you a few years later of how it may be different. And then that opens up a completely different discussion, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. I love that you bring that up because I feel like that's exactly what we're trying to do. And a lot of times we'll talk to people, we'll be at these events selling our products in person, and people will come up to us and they'll be like, we've been married for 20 years. We know everything there is to know about each other. We're not interested. And we say, yeah, but the way you answer these questions today might be different than how you answer them tomorrow, or how you answered them when you got married, or how you answered them 5 years ago. I mean, you're always going to be changing, both as an individual and as a couple. And, you're going to run out of things to talk about, sure, but those answers are always going to be different. And if you really want to stay connected with your spouse, if you want to stay on the same page with them, if you want to stay in this place where you guys have good communication consistently, then ask them the same questions over and over. Who cares? It's just an excuse to talk with each other, to connect, and their answers might surprise you. In fact, when we were writing the questions, obviously we went through them and asked them to each other, making sure that we enjoyed the conversation coming from the question. And it's so hilarious because we had so many great conversations at that point when we were writing the questions, and as we were getting our questions reviewed and all that kind of stuff throughout the whole process. And just recently we went on a road trip and we're using the cards in the car again. Here we are 2 years later, revisiting these questions that we haven't thought about too much in a while. And our answers changed. We're in a different part of life right now than we were 2 years ago. And it was really interesting. So, I thought I knew how he was going to answer the questions, and he surprised me. And that was kind of fun.
So you guys just recently got married a year ago. Is that right?
Yep.
Is it a year or so ago?
It's been a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got married in
We're
November of 2020.
Did you kind of brought up before, Caitlin, that you had seen conversation cards before you played with the idea of making your own. Were you doing conversation cards when you were dating previous to that concept?
So we hadn't like made any, but we had definitely used them a lot.
Mhm.
We used probably 4 or 5 different brands, and her mom is also a psychologist, and she had some that she had recommended for us. And like she had mentioned a little bit earlier, we did like them. They were great, but there was just some stuff that was lacking, and some of them were really surface level. Some of them were like, yeah, we want to talk about the important things and the hard things in life, but some of them were like really
Uncomfortable.
depressing.
They were depressing. In fact, if anyone's familiar with the game We're Not Really Strangers, that game was a little depressing for us. And that's a popular brand. That's one of our competitors. And honestly, their products are great. We're not trying to say that they're not, but they were a little negative, and they try to bring up that really ugly stuff from your past. And, you know, we didn't really want to talk about that. It was like, you know what? It's in the past. Everyone makes mistakes. But having to dwell on that in some of those questions was really uncomfortable. And so we didn't enjoy that either.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the reason why I asked that question is one of the things that my husband and I have talked about over the years of what we wish that we had done before we got married. And it was therapy or counseling, or having some form of like conversation cards where we really got to know not only ourselves a little bit better, but got to know each other better and more in depth with having those conversations rather than those day-to-day moments. And so I like that you started doing that before you even began the process to create your own cards, but also like build your marriage and your relationship. That's such a brilliant thing that you guys did to really build that foundation for your marriage. So kudos. Something too that I love about both of you is not only do you work really well together in business, you both are singers and musicians. And I've seen a few lives where you both connect together, sing together, and play your instruments, which I would love to talk about that as well. Caitlin, you play cello.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I do play cello. I actually graduated in cello performance. That's what my background is in. So it's pretty different from Wingmn. You're like, how are you even doing this? It's such a dramatic shift. But I do have many hats, as I like to say, and Wingmn is one of them, and I'm also a professional cello player.
And Preston, you play electric guitar.
Yep. Both of them, a little bit of bass guitar. And so I've been playing since I was like 9 years old. I've been playing for a long time, and it's just something fun. I wanted to do it like seriously for a while there, but it's not my thing. She's a little bit more musical than I am, but I do. It's a fun hobby. I like playing. So
how do you both feel when you're playing together and singing together that helps connection and communication to build your relationship with each other? And I'll let Caitlin go first to answer that.
Yeah, one of the examples that comes to mind is when we got married. We actually sang at our own wedding. So as I mentioned, I play cello, but I also play a little bit of guitar. I'm not as good as Preston. He's like a musical genius on guitar, and I am a beginner for all intents and purposes, but I do play a little bit. I kind of mess around. And so the both of us were playing guitar and singing at our wedding, and it was a really fun experience. We are not professionals at our little duo that we have going on by any means. We're not trying to do anything with it, but it's just kind of something that we do for fun, just to connect. And music is honestly a great way to connect. It's a language that everyone understands, and it conveys feelings so much better than words ever could. So it's a really great way to connect, and it's a really great way to express yourself and just relax and have fun.
Be playful. Yeah. Need way more of that, in life to connect, feel, and be playful, which you do. Preston, how do you feel like music connects you more fully to Caitlin?
I think that's a great question, and I have lots of things running through my mind, but I would say the first one is kind of in with like the love languages and how you spend your time together and the ways that are like meaningful for you to connect. And I think one of the ones for me is definitely spending time together. And music is one of those things, whether we're playing solo and we just get to like listen to each other, or we're playing together, that it's like a way that we can spend time with each other and just interact. And so that's always meaningful for me. And so that's one way. It's just something that we enjoy doing together, and it's how we can take a break from the world and just kind of be present. So that's one thing. And then also I would say music can be kind of vulnerable sometimes, especially when you're learning something new, or you don't know how to sing it, or you don't know how to play it quite yet, and you have to go through like messing up in front of someone you don't want them to see that bad side of you. But when you do, you kind of gain that trust, and it's okay to mess up, and it's okay to not be perfect in front of that person, but you keep trying and you become better and you develop, and then one day you can play that song perfectly and you sound good together, and it's an awesome thing. But seeing the process and seeing that side of them, we're like, hey, you're not always perfect is a good thing too. So
Wow, you guys are amazing, and I love everything you're saying with presence and love language and communication is so valuable and important. Of Caitlin, how you mentioned, we do this to communicate and to have fun, and that it's a way of, there's a lot of ways to communicate, as we all connect differently in love languages, and there's a million ways to do that. They're beautiful and vulnerable and raw, and thank you for sharing those with each other and with us. I would love to hear, Preston and Caitlin, you can collectively choose a few of the cards that you have in your stack that you could share with our listeners and viewers of what they'll see in your cards.
Yeah.
Of course.
Let's grab the For Everyone. Let's see here. We'll grab
So, I guess this is what they look like for anyone who is viewing the video of this podcast. But these are our For Everyone cards. They are designed for, kind of like we mentioned earlier, family gatherings, designed for friends. Anytime that you want to break the ice, you can use these with coworkers. They are just meant for all ages. They're really fun questions that you can ask anyone, anytime.
Yep. And so in each of our card packs as well, there's 4 different categories. So let's do one from each category. I think that'd be good to kind of like showcase it. But there is the icebreaker, then there's also entertainer, storyteller, and thinker. And they're all color coded, and it says what they are on the cards. So depending on what situation you're in and kind of how comfortable you are with those friends or that family, you can get into different types of conversations. So an example of an icebreaker card is just really simple, really easy, first time get to know someone. But for you, what would the ultimate 3-day weekend look like? I don't know, do you want to go ahead and like actually answer them, or are we just going through the different examples here?
Either or. A 3-day weekend. I like how we're switching the script a little bit here.
Yeah.
Gosh. A part of me wants to say the beach, because the beach is always just very grounding and relaxing, and you can just be in the moment with all the sensory details. So we're going to stick with that one. That came to me first.
Yeah.
That
awesome.
I would agree.
I totally agree. I love that. This is another example of a question too that might change over time. My ultimate 3-day weekend 2 years ago would have been really different. Maybe practicing cello in the morning, going for a hike in the afternoon. And my ultimate 3-day weekend today would probably be spending time with Preston and binge eating popcorn and watching a movie.
Yes.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Perfect. So that was an example of an icebreaker. Let's do an entertainer. Let's see which one. Let's do, if you were given a 1-minute ad slot during the Super Bowl, what would you use it for and why? You have your books and podcast, so you might advertise for that. But if it wasn't for that,
my instant reaction was I would advertise. So I have scoliosis. So I would advertise to support kids and teens that are going through scoliosis themselves to get the resources and help they need through their journey.
Cool.
That's awesome.
I feel like that would be a very good use of Super Bowl ad time. I think some of the ads are kind of so pointless. They're funny, they're entertaining.
They're comical, yes.
All right, do you want to ask the next one here?
Sure. So this is a storyteller, and these cards are meant to get people telling stories. That's one of our favorite things when we're in a big group of people using these cards. And you can just go one by one around a circle, and everyone kind of shares a story. Those are like our favorite conversations ever. So here's one that always seems to get people talking, and it's what has been one of your biggest kitchen failures? This one brings up
in the kitchen. No, I'm just kidding. My husband, thank goodness, likes to cook. Otherwise, we'd probably all starve. But biggest fail. Man. Okay, when we first got married, I really wanted to try my hand at like making this gourmet like chicken casserole. I had seen my grandma make it a million times, and it just looked so delightful and it smelled so good. I'd never made it before. So I'm thinking, how hard can this be? Like, I'll just look at the instructions. It will be fine. Totally went in with my ego of like, I've got this. Yeah, I burnt the majority of it, and then half of it fell on the floor. And then I ended up putting like sugar instead of salt. So it just, the whole experience was not delightful. But the love and intention was strong. So
there you go. That's awesome. That's so funny. When we first got married, Preston likes to tell this story, but I had a kitchen failure. I don't like to admit, but I was trying to make a broccoli casserole. And kind of similar thing, my family had this recipe I really wanted to try. Every time my mom made it, it was delicious. I loved it. So I'm like, okay, me and Preston just got married. Like, I'm going to make him this broccoli casserole that I love so much. And there were only two of us. So I said, you know what? I'm going to half the recipe. We don't need a full casserole. I'm going to make it in a smaller dish. And I'll use half the chicken, half the ingredients. But on top, there were some breadcrumbs that we were supposed to sprinkle on the salad, or on the casserole, sorry. And I had bought this huge, like, can of panko breadcrumbs, and we ended up only needing to use, like, a couple tablespoons of it. And I was like, I don't want all this to go to waste. So I put, like, half a cup of panko breadcrumbs on the top of our casserole.
It was like half the container.
Yeah. And it ended up being a breadcrumb casserole.
You couldn't taste anything. It was just like straight breadcrumbs.
I know. There were like these little tiny pieces of chicken, a little tiny piece of broccoli, but it was like mostly it was so bad.
That's pretty funny.
Was it like a stuffing, or did it taste more like croutons?
It tasted more like stuffing, but it was like dry. Really dry.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain.
It was terrible. Like, it was an epic fail.
It was basically like you put your spoon in the can of breadcrumbs and then just had like a little piece of broccoli every 3 bites. That was basically what it was.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Waste all the breadcrumbs. I was like, we're never going to use these again.
I was trying so hard just to eat it and not say anything and just be like, oh yeah, it's good.
No, it was terrible.
It was pretty bad. Good times.
Oh.
All right. We're ready. So this one is the last category here. I guess we'll go into that. It's the thinker question. So these ones are a little bit more, like a little bit deeper, maybe a little bit more philosophical. Ooh, these are both good. What do you think? Do you have any mantras?
Maybe we can read both of them.
You can read both of them?
There are 2 questions per card.
Yep.
And me and Preston both like both of these questions.
Yep.
So maybe we'll do both.
Okay. So what do you think is more advantageous? Having a broad knowledge base, aka being a jack of all trades, or a deep knowledge base, master of one? And why do you think that?
Oh, wow. That's a fantastic question.
Gets you thinking. So.
I kind of like the jack of all trades for my personality. I really like to continue to, I thrive off of learning. So I really like to be able to understand different concepts, perspectives, different things that people are experiencing firsthand. I really like to understand and get hands-on in specific topics and thoughts surrounding other people and learning all that I can. I just thrive off of learning. So I'd probably say a jack of all trades for me.
Good. It's actually really funny. I did not know this, but a few weeks ago, I found out that there's actually more to the saying, because there's like the common saying is like, oh, you're a jack of all trades, but a master of none. But there's a situation onto it. And I'm probably going to butcher it because I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like, you're a jack of all trades, master of none, but still better than the master of one or something like that. But there's like, if the whole quote actually goes back to say that it's more advantageous to be a jack of all trades, but it just gets cut off and no one ever talks about that part. So I thought it was really interesting. I did not know that. So.
No, that's fascinating. I love that.
Yeah.
But there's also the argument that a master of one is really advantageous, because you are the master, you are the best at what you do, and that's pretty awesome, because not everyone can say they're the best. So yeah, you could argue both sides of that coin, I think.
Yeah. Sure.
And so I was like, that's really hard, because you really can, like, there's pros and cons, no matter which way you think of it, that would hurt either side.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if you were the master of writing. Your book New York Times bestseller. That'd be pretty cool, right?
It would be very cool, yes.
Yeah.
But you could also be a great writer, a great storyteller.
Exactly.
You know, be a great marketer and be able to like put your books out there. You know, there's lots of
advantages to being a jack of all trades.
It's true.
I love that.
Yeah. Cool. And then the other question on this card is, do you have any personal mantras or philosophies that you live by, and what are they?
My personal mantra for me every day is just to be present and to find joy in every given situation. And that's really helped me to be, no matter what's going on in my life, that I can always find something joyful, and I can always find something that I'm grateful for. And that really helps to give me the energy and the perspective that life is great and beautiful, and that, yes, things are really hard. But if I can be present on this one thing, it can also help me get through those hard things too. So,
yeah, it's really cool. I think your listeners are going to love this, because it's like reversed almost. They're learning a lot. To see that cool side. So I think that's awesome. I think they're going to like it.
Those are amazing cards. And I can't even imagine how fun that was for both of you to, like, how many hours and how much time did you put in? I can't even imagine, like, sitting there. I'm sure it was so fun, but like sitting there and really thinking these deep questions, because those were some really awesome, deep, thoughtful questions.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely took a long time. And I think something that took even longer is, so in my profession as a UX designer, you have to like put yourself in other people's shoes a lot of times, because it's like, you have to know how they're going to use the app. And if someone young is using it, or someone old, or someone who has a disability, or is colorblind, or just like all these different things. And I think that has kind of helped me to like really get used to putting on other people's shoes. And we did that a lot when we were using our questions, especially for everyone deck, because we're like, this is made for everyone. Like, anyone should be able to answer these to some extent. And so it was like, well, how is someone who's single, or how is someone who's divorced, or how is someone who's, you know, like, we didn't want anything to offend anyone, or like different cultures or things like that. And so we spent a lot of time debating about that in our questions. And I think, you know, there were times where we talked about a single question for like an hour, 2 hours, maybe even, I don't know. Ooh.
There were several nights of process of coming up with these cards and a lot of the questions where we stayed up till 2 or 3 in the morning talking about how would a grandma answer this question? How would a 6-year-old answer this question? How would your mom answer this question? How would our neighbor answer this question? And trying to think of all the different scenarios, all these people from all these backgrounds. And there were a lot of times when we would come up with a question that we thought was super good. And we enjoyed talking about it. But then we started putting ourselves in other people's shoes and we were like, you know what? Someone who was elderly probably couldn't answer that question. Or someone who was divorced probably wouldn't appreciate this question. And again, that Preston's perspective really helped with that. I think a lot of those conversations stemmed from his experience with his job and him kind of forcing me to think differently. That was kind of a cool experience for me to be like, oh, you're right. You know, like maybe this isn't as good of a question as I thought. And it was hard to go through that, honestly, because we probably wrote like 500 questions for each card pack and then kept throwing out all these questions one after the other that I thought were great. And then it was like, oh, maybe not.
Shot them all down.
Shot them all down. And that was a little frustrating. I mean, it took a long time to develop these products, but you know, being on the other side of it now and having gone through some of those long nights and those frustrating conversations, I'm really proud of what we have because we can confidently say that literally anyone can use our cards and they are friendly to everyone and they are inclusive and they're just really well thought through and we made them very intentionally and with a lot of help as well. We definitely consulted my mom, who's a psychologist, some different professors at UVU. We got help, outside help from others and a lot of outside perspectives. And these cards are one of a kind. I mean, they really are very, very thoroughly and thoughtfully made.
I like that you put yourself in other people's shoes and ask that question of different ages. I think that that's so valuable to hear that. I'm sure the viewers will absolutely appreciate that, but that also really, again, builds that connection that you can connect with anyone, no matter who they are, in a more deeper perspective.
Yeah.
We have a few, before we end the show today, a few inner child questions. Are you both ready? They're like, sure.
Yeah.
All right, Preston, we're going to start with you first. If you could speak any language that you don't already know, what would you choose and why?
Oof, that's a good one. So we both already speak Portuguese, so that's fun. But if I had to learn another language, I think it would be really cool to learn, I'd probably say Japanese, just because I feel like we're both big sushi fans, and it's just such a unique and different language, and I don't know, I've always thought it was cool. So that's probably what I would say.
All right.
Caitlin, turning it to you, what would you choose?
I love this question because I'm a huge foodie and I'm a huge lover of like international foods and international cultures. So this is actually kind of hard. I have a goal to someday learn like 5 languages. But next up on my list is probably Italian, just because I love Italian food. And I think the spoken language is beautiful. Just the intonation of it all, the way Italians speak. I love it.
Cool. Good answer.
Yep. And with foodie, I'm a foodie too. I'm like, I mean, Italian food is one of my favorites as well.
Right?
I'm going to just toss it into a food question then, just to like get us, since we're on the topic of food. Caitlin, what is the oddest food combo that you've liked and tried, or you've just tried?
Ooh. Okay, this is actually a good question for me because I'm kind of the queen of odd food combinations.
Yep. Yeah. I'm trying to think.
He's nodding his head. So I'm a really big fan of leftovers. I know most people hate leftovers. Preston hates leftovers. I love them. it's my favorite thing to come home after a long day and not have to cook, but I've got this beautiful meal that I can just put in the microwave and it's ready in less than 2 minutes. So one of my favorite things to do is I'll like eat leftovers, but I'll mix them together. So like if we have like mashed potatoes that are leftovers and then we have like peas and carrots that are leftovers, I'll like mix them and then eat them at the same time, which is pretty weird. Or I'll do like, I'm thinking like, so we'll have a lot of soup, and sometimes we'll have like beef stew that's left over, or like a vegetable soup that's left over, and then we'll have like chicken cutlets left over, and I'll like cut up the chicken and put it in the soup, which is really weird too. But I don't know. I just don't care. I think it's good.
This makes me so giddy right now because I can just see you like opening up the kitchen, just being a little bit of this and a little bit of that and doing a little dance while you're mixing it all together.
I'm like, that does not go with that. Asian food with some Italian food, and pizza on the side. I'm like, what? Like, no.
A buffet, Preston, a buffet from the fridge of leftovers.
Basically.
Exactly.
All right, Preston, take it away. What is your oddest food combo that you've liked and tried, or just tried?
So I was thinking about this for a long time. I was like really deep in thought over here, trying to think about the things that I've eaten. Because as a kid, I was very conservative, so I didn't eat anything that was like not mac and cheese. Or, but recently I have branched out completely. But I would say probably for most of the audience, the weirdest thing that I've eaten was in Brazil. They have like really different pizzas, and they do this one called stroganoff pizza. And it's not like the beef stroganoff that we normally eat. It's a Brazilian version of it, but it's like chicken and then this tomato-y based sauce. But it's like a stew soup type of consistency. I literally just like take the bread, slap some stew stuff on there, and then cut it up like a normal pizza, and bake it and all that stuff. And it's like the messiest thing. And I was like, why would you put soup stuff on pizza? Like that doesn't even work. And it's like drips everywhere, and it's kind of gross. But it actually is pretty good. Like, I mean, it's not easy to eat. You pretty much have to eat it with a fork, but it's pretty solid. There you go. Put some stew on your pizza. Try it.
So it's like a Carl's Jr. pizza, kind of just messy toppings, just all over.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Yeah. You have to eat it with a fork.
Yeah, you like try to pick it up and just like and it like spills off the sides, and it's pretty weird. But never would have ever thought to put that on pizza, but someone did, and it worked. It's not my favorite, but it worked.
I can just envision you with napkins. That's what I was thinking, like the bib napkins, where you're just like stuffing napkins, and making sure you're just ready, in case it's...
Well, you have that, and I'd be wearing like a white dress shirt, and it was a disaster waiting to happen. So,
with it being red, was it like a red consistency?
Yeah. Red sauce stuff, and then they put crushed up potato chips on top. That's another weird part of it. Yeah. I mean, it tastes great, but it's pretty weird.
I've never had that before. Caitlin, have you had that before?
I have had that before. We met each other in Brazil, and so we're both pretty familiar with Brazilian food, but that was a common thing that people ate. It's pizza cheese stroganoff. That's what they call it, and it is weird. It is very weird. But it doesn't taste bad. I mean, it's basically just chicken and sauce on top of bread. So it's weird. I mean, but it works.
I will tag you on that when I try that post and food item, and then we'll make a name for it.
There's a Brazilian pizza place here in Orem. So you actually could try it.
I don't know if they have. They might have that.
They might have it.
They probably do. If not, they have something else that's Brazilian and different. So I'll have to check it out.
Okay, searches Google. We're gonna go figure this out.
Yep.
Before we end today, Preston, what is something that you would like to leave the listeners and the viewers with on a way that they can more fully connect with themselves and those around them?
It's good. I really like the action items at the end. That's a good idea. I would say my biggest takeaway from the research that we've done and from just using the cards and talking to people about them and just this whole journey that we've been on is just this kind of realization to me that conversation is almost like a muscle. It's a skill that you can develop, and it's not something that you always have to be good at. I actually had an ex-girlfriend that broke up with me because she said I wasn't good enough at conversation, starting up conversations. So it was really ironic that I'm in this business now. It's something that you can learn, and it's something that you can try to get better at every day. And just being intentional about, even if we go specific into relationships, just being intentional about, hey, like, how can I bring value to my partner's life today through conversation? How can I talk to them about something that's meaningful to me or to them? And just working on strengthening that muscle and understanding that, like, if you're not good about it, or if you have some anxiety, or it's just hard for you to talk and open up, that it's okay and it's not a permanent thing, and you can just like grow into it and practice and learn and develop that communication muscle. And it's never too late. That's what I would say.
And Caitlin, what would you say?
If I could leave the listeners with one thing, it would be a challenge. And I would challenge them to go and have a more meaningful conversation with someone. And it doesn't have to be using our cards. It can be about anything. They can even steal one of the questions that they heard us use on the show today. But go take one of those questions that you heard, that you enjoyed, and ask someone. And when you ask someone that question, look them in the eyes. Don't look at your phone. Don't touch your phone. Don't look at the plant that's in the corner. Don't look at the floor. I mean, look at them and listen to them. Don't say anything, just listen. And see what that does for your relationship. When you really connect with someone, when you really hear them, when you pay attention to them, when you're looking them in the eyes and trying to understand how they see the world, it changes things. And I would challenge listeners to go and experiment with that, see for themselves.
Thank you both for joining us today. You are absolutely a delight. And I know that there's a lot of nuggets that I took away from this conversation that others will as well. Where can our viewers find you on social media if they have any questions about your cards or any questions after our show for you?
Yeah, so they can visit us by going to our website, www.wingmn.co. And Wingmn is spelled without the A, just to clarify. So it's WINGMN. And that's wingmn.co. They can also find us by visiting our Instagram or Facebook pages by the same handle, wingmn.co. We're also on Pinterest at Wingmn.
Lots of options, and we'd love to hear from anyone. And if you did accept the challenge and you had that opportunity, feel free to send us a message on our Instagram or post about it, comment on something that we've posted, and just share your experience, because I'm sure everyone would love to hear that. And we are not only trying to promote our products, but also just create a community of growth and understanding and openness. And I think sharing those experiences is a great way to just put your stamp on things and show that you're all about connecting with people and being open. And who knows, someone else might find that awesome and reach out to you and just become friends. So it'd be great.
Thank you, and much love to you both. I really appreciate you being here with us today. And for you that are watching and listening, remember, as you go about your week, to be present with yourself and those around you, to find joy in the things that are in your surroundings, and make sure that you're listening to your heart. Have a beautiful rest of your week, and we'll catch you next Monday. Take care, everyone. Bye, Caitlin. Bye, Preston. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.